SMU is 2 wins away from a perfect ACC season. Can the Mustangs avoid a slip-up in their final road game of the year? We'll find out in just a second, but first I want to tell you about a special that we have at WagerTalk, no coupon necessary. It's up on your handicappers page. It's the rest of college football and NFL for the low rate of $3.99. That gets you all the college bowl games, all the NFL plays through the playoffs, and through the college football playoff, the new revamped 12-team college football playoff for just $3.99. Good week in college football last week. It was low volume, but we won with Missouri, and I've now won 6 of the last 7 weeks in college football. So after a tough start those first couple weeks, we've pretty much steadily grinded out profit in college football for almost the past 2 months. And so I hope to keep it going this weekend. One of the plays I'm looking at is SMU. And boy, am I tempted to just lay the points with SMU here. So I make the number here SMU -9. That's where it currently is. Virginia did take some money down from, I think, 10 down to 9. So I'm kind of waiting on this. I think if it got even like a half point lower, I'd probably have to jump in with SMU here. I may play it at 9 anyway. Even though my number comes out right around where the market is, my handicap screams SMU. So I'll talk about that now. So we did videos for both of these games last week. I don't remember exactly what I landed on in that SMU BC game. I think it might have been the under. So that obviously did not win. SMU 38-28 against Boston College went well over the total. But I did give out Virginia in the other video in a game that they covered, but boy, were they fortunate to do so, down 35-0 against Notre Dame, and needed 2 late scores. The final one coming, I think, with like 20 seconds left in the game to cover the number against Notre Dame. So a couple things with Virginia, and I think this is starting to get some legs. Virginia has been a very good against the spread team as a large underdog, as a double-digit underdog, and they covered again last week. But I really think if Virginia doesn't score that late touchdown last week, this is probably more like SMU -12, SMU -11.5, 12.5. And I do think that the narrative that Virginia is just a great backdoor cover, large underdog team is starting to get some legs. And, people are starting to back them. Virginia's been very good against the spread recently. The outright win a couple weeks ago over Pitt, the backdoor game against Clemson where they scored late twice, last week against Notre Dame. If you've been on Virginia over the last month and a half, you've done very well. They blew out Notre Dame. That's actually a spot, or I'm sorry, they got blown out by North Carolina, but as an underdog, they've been very good. And I think that that's gotten a little bit of legs here to the point where it's not only baked into the number, but then the market sort of bet this a little bit more in the direction of now having value with SMU. If you go back to my BC SMU video last week, one point I know I made was that SMU at some point in this 3-game stretch to close out the ACC season was going to let a bad team hang around. Remember, go back to prior to the BC game where they ended up going off like 18.5-point favorites. SMU knows that it's theirs to lose. SMU knows that going into last week, knew that they were going to be a large favorite in their 3 remaining games. Last week at home to Boston College. Here we know they're a 9-point favorite on the road, and then next week they will be a large favorite at home against Cal. So there was always going to be a slip up at some point, in my opinion. It was going to be very hard for SMU to just have a dominant stretch during those 3 games as a big favorite. I think last week was the slip up. I think SMU let Boston College hang around in that game. I felt like they could have won that game by more. I just felt like it wasn't the most focused effort, especially on the defensive side of the ball from SMU, which, kind of coming off the bye 2 weeks prior, they had that big blowout win of Pitt. So it made sense that might be the case. And I think they maybe got it out of their system last week. Now going on the road here, I don't think that that's as big of a deal. The fact that this game's on the road, we just saw North Carolina roll in here and absolutely destroy this Virginia team. And I think it's significant how Virginia covered against Clemson, against North Carolina, because I think that's watered this number down. You go back to the Clemson game, Virginia needed 2 late scores in that game to get within, I believe the spread was like 21-22, to get inside that 3 touchdown number. Same thing against Notre Dame, down 35-0. They needed a touchdown to make it 35-7, and then they needed a touchdown with literally no time left on the clock to cover that number. So I think that that's all sort of served to water this number down. As far as like SMU coming to play here, I mean, you're 2 games away from a perfect ACC season, and you control your own destiny at this point. So I just don't think SMU isn't ready to play this game. That just doesn't make sense for me at this point. And going back to like the way that Virginia covered those 2 spreads, like Virginia's been very poor in the red zone this year. They can't finish drives. And so it kind of makes sense that Virginia is at their best offensively once they're in a 24 to 30 point hole, because, teams start to let up defensively. The red zone defense isn't quite as tough. And then so Virginia gets down there and scores. That's actually a comment I've now made on the record like 3 times this season. Virginia's offense is at their best when they are so far out of the game that they just let Anthony Calandria, or in last, I think Musket was in at the end of last week's game, just go out there and make plays. When it's a close game, Virginia tries to run the ball, and their game plan on offense rarely works. Once the game's out of reach, they've got Calandria out there running around, making plays, broken plays, and it's actually when Virginia's most effective, when they're most effective offensively. The problem with this game is being down 20 and then scoring is not going to be good enough to get you the backdoor cover when you're only catching 9. And that's really what kind of puts me on SMU here. Is I just think that like the chances for Virginia, who again has needed multiple late scores to cover against Clemson and Notre Dame as big underdogs, it's less likely on this side of 10 that late score is going to give Virginia the money in this game. So for that reason, I like SMU. And then I just, to me, these are 2 teams. Like, this is a pretty big mismatch. SMU's very consistent offensively. They run, they pass. It's a well-balanced attack, and I think they're going to be able to move the ball against this Virginia team. And then it comes down to effort on the defensive side of the ball. I just don't think the effort was fully there defensively last week to allow Boston College and their backup quarterback to score 28 points. That to me, and the fact that game was as close as it was for as long as it was, is going to serve as a little bit of a wake-up call for SMU. Hey, there's still work that needs to be done here in the final 2 weeks of the season. But if SMU brings their A game, there's no doubt in my mind they're winning this game, and they're probably winning it going away. So SMU -9, free pick for now, but this might end up making my client card. So definitely check back with me on Twitter at AdamTriggerWT, where I will post this if this ends up making my client card. And please follow us on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, like and subscribe so we can continue to bring you these free picks all season long. And don't forget to check out that special. It's up, no coupon necessary, on my page. Rest of the season, college football, NFL, nice 3-1 football week for me last week. And I hope to get on a little bit of a football run here as we, approach bowl season, the playoffs, etc. So check that out. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Cash all your tickets. We'll see you guys next time.